areas that we do have, that we don't destroy them. And even in these slides, I have put at least one slide dealing with before you get married, before you say I do, what are some things that maybe you need to consider. And so that it won't be completely out of your realm of understanding. There's not material in the sense of a book. There are 5 questions that has to do with finances. Today we're doing money matters. Looking at this slide and this verse right here, let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. As far as money matters, when you think about that, what C words in there should be important to you as a Christian? There's 3 C words that really tell you a lot. When it comes to money matters like budgets and stuff like that, there's not anything directly specifically spoken about. A lot of things that have to do with money matters and finances. However, there are a lot of principles in the Bible that will teach you what you're supposed to do. What words in there would basically address this issue or give you some direction? Okay, content. A lot of people experience problems when it comes to money because they can't be content. Just that one word, being content with what you have, has a lot to do with the way you conduct your lives. So that would be, what's another word that is important when it comes to possibly causing problems when it comes to money matters and finances? Give you a hint, it starts with a C.
That would be covetousness.
That would be covetousness. If you don't covet stuff, which they could go back to the Ten Commandments, and it talks about coveting something that's not yours, something that somebody else has. That's a principle or rule that the Bible gives us. And then another C word is what? Conduct. Conduct yourself. Discipline yourself, so that those things don't become problems. And so it seems like when you get right down to the base causes of most problems when it comes to finances, it's really a base problem. And then it kind of is like what the Hydra in mythology, it develops several different heads. It comes out from different ways, and sometimes that can lull you to sleep, so to speak. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Is that I am not an expert. Most of the lessons I learned from living with Pridmore. Because her household that she grew up in and the household that I grew up in were 2 different entities. Her daddy was a planter, and he was a saver. My family lived from hand to mouth. It was tough with my parents and that sort of thing. There was never any money. I mean, I think I've told some other story before. When I was in 1st grade, I stole. I stole 5 pennies. Somebody was absent, desk was right next to me. I saw 5 pennies in her desk. I looked around and I said, I'd like to have those 5 pennies. So, being the master criminal that I was, I stretched and yawned, and I one at a time. I pulled each penny at a time. I'm thinking that the teacher must have seen me, because I got all 5 that night. My daddy, after supper, would say, anybody want something from the store? He'd go to the store. And I said, yeah, I want some bubblegum cards, baseball cards, bubblegum. And I pulled out those 5 pennies. And my mother said, that's how poor we were. My mother said, where did you get that? But she knew I didn't have 5 pennies. I had 2 cents by now. So, and I then, instead of stealing, I lied, which is what money can do for you right here. I lied and said, well, Dwayne gave it to me. Poor Dwayne, he didn't know he was being implicated in this. And she said, well, I'll just call Dwayne. I said, well, you can't get him. He lives a long way away. You'll never get him. And she said, oh, I'll look it up. So then I had to confess. So money can get you into trouble. It can start very early. And so we'll be talking about all this things. Before we start, we're going to ask Stephen to lead us in prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful to you for this day that you've given us to live and enjoy the blessings of life. And Father, we're so thankful that you've given us this time to come together as brothers and sisters to study your word, to know better how you would have us to live. Father, we pray that as we enter into this study hour, that we enter into open hearts, open minds, talked about here today and learned about in light of our lives, be better Christians towards you, be better husbands and wives towards our spouses. Father, we pray for your guidance and all things, and your wisdom. These things that we pray in Christ's name.
All right, money matters in marriage. This is really kind of the outline of the topic we're going to try to discuss. A lot of these go along with the questions that I gave you, 5 questions. One thing we're going to look at first is guiding scriptures. And like I said, some of these give you principles that will help hopefully guide you. Marriage killers. Before you say I do, or those that are not married, or those thinking about marriage, issues that rear their ugly heads, the T got left out, sorry, I didn't proofread it. What responsibilities, roles, and attitudes, and try to look at them from a spiritual and a godly standpoint, and how to develop a godly plan. Earthly priorities, and stay away from those, and the difference between needs and wants. Those are different things. Some people, a lot of things that I want, that I don't really need that. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Philippians 3:8, I count everything is lost because of the surpassing worth of knowing Jesus Christ. What really is valuable when it comes to this world? You know, is it going to be money? Is it going to be things? Or is it going to be this relationship that you have? What are you going to value the most? Because if you don't value Jesus the most, then these other things can take precedent over that and cause you problems. All right. Finish it. The love of money. Okay, it's the root of all kinds of evil. Having money is not a sin. Okay. What can make having money sinful? Okay. Your attitude towards money, not being content, coveting others. What else? What is it about? What you spend it on. You could be spending it on ungodly activities. You can do it that way. What else? It's a general principle, but with love of money, what are some things that causes you to move away from your Christian walk?
You start relying on money instead of relying on God.
You start depending on money instead of God. It becomes your focus. It becomes your everything. Your focus is not following Christ, but it's about, you know, how much can I accumulate? Those sort of things. Any other?
Well, that the way you live so much.
Yeah. And you could, and we're going to talk about these. I want to give everything away in the first point, because this right here covers the whole. You could just take this one statement right here, and you could spend the whole class talking about that, offshoots from that. But when the way you get money, but when it comes to the love of money, if it forces you to do something, it becomes a form of idolatry, because it becomes the main focus in your life. Commit to the Lord is one thing that can help you. Seek ye first what? What are we supposed to seek first? I didn't finish these because I'm going to hopefully get your mind. Finish this first. Kingdom of God and Christ and all these things added to you. If we are doing what we're supposed to, you know, I don't believe the goal of Christian ought to be rich, have a bunch of stuff, and to be paid necessarily well. That's not his goal. But I would believe if you're being the type of person you should be probably the most coveted employee or employer that you could have. If you follow Christian principles, why would you not want to be someone that somebody want to hire and be willing to pay well? If you have work ethic, chances are you're going to make money. We'll talk about that more. So understand, if we commit to the Lord, it's not like we're turning away from these other things. There are things that will naturally be added to you. And that doesn't mean that there may not be persecutions or problems that comes along with that. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that always, you know, being a Christian can get you in trouble, especially in the world today. You know, if somebody thinks that you're following that, and your Christian principles, they say, I want you to do this, and your Christian principles say, I can't do that, you might lose your job. I heard a fellow the other day who was working on my internet stuff, and he was telling about how they were asking him to, he had changed companies. He said, well, they were asking me to do stuff and lie, and I just couldn't do it. I appreciate that. And so we changed up because of that. One flesh. When you're married, you are partners, okay? And what do you think the principle for a house divided, how would that fit into your marriage? How would that be some way to guide you?
There's no unity in a house divided.
No unity, no people going in the same direction. What else? There's a ton, we could preach a whole sermon on this. It won't stand. Okay? If you and your wife or you and your husband are working as separate entities financially, chances are you are looking at a blueprint for disaster. Okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you, some of these things I'm going to tell you are a general rule. There may be specific situations to certain marriages that may call for a difference. Okay? What we're talking about as a general rule. There, you need to be working together, not against each other. There's no story about the difference between stallions and between mules. If mules get attacked, they turn their heads towards each other and start kicking. If they're attacked, they turn their heads outside towards the enemy, and they kick each other, which ain't very smart. If you run into a pack of stallions, they put their heads together and they get out and they're working together that particular way. So to me, that's kind of an illustration of, you put your heads together and you work together. All right, man is the head, woman is a helpmeet, suitable for. We're going to be talking about this. But this gives us some direction as to how and who's responsible for finances. And we'll talk about that specifically in a few more minutes. Covetousness, sinful, can destroy relationships. He's not making enough, and I can't keep up with what everybody else has. And we look at it that way. She's not helping you this particular way. She could work longer hours. She could do this so that you can have more stuff, more things. Be a good steward of God's gifts. Be a good steward. Don't waste. I don't want to see it for the wrong reason. But don't waste, or when it comes to that, pride, lust, greed, slothfulness, all those things are deadly sins. Provide for your family. And also, a guiding principle is Joseph's story in Genesis. One of the hardest things that I have, and I've talked with Devin a lot about this because Devin helps me with my finances. When it comes to saving money for retirement and things like that, when is enough and when does it become disappointing? Does that make sense? That's a struggle for me. I realize that I'm not supposed to hoard up money, but yet looking at retirement and the fact that I might live for another 20 years and will my retirement last all the way through that? It's an issue. If I don't take care of it, it falls on who? If I don't take care of my finances and retirement and stuff, and Donna and I can't take care of our food, our house payment, or whatever it is, who does that fall on? Your kids. I don't want my kids having enough for me. I got 5 grandkids. They got enough on their hands without trying to take care of it. So I like to try to take care of that myself. That's a consideration. If it doesn't fall on my kids, who's it fall on? Church. You guys will be supporting me. Okay? If we're doing what we're supposed to, if a brother or sister has need, it will fall over the back of the church, and I don't want to do that either. So there is consideration. Where is the tipping point? I think it originates in your heart. It needs to be planned out. Like I said, I struggle with that. What mean is enough. Also, be trustworthy with your money. Be honest and spend with integrity. It should be well thought out. Do I have to raise your hand? Any impulse buyers? I'm not an impulse buyer. My wife can't get me to go to the store for anything. If it's shopping, it has to be. My general rule is I go in, I hunt it down, I kill it, I pick it, and I take it up to the desk and pay for it, and go out. I don't go nowhere. I don't go to a place. I don't go looking for anything else. When it comes to info, I see lots of stuff. We were at a bookstore yesterday. I see a bunch of books that I would love to read, but I don't go buy them. Some people have trouble with that. All right, love of money, we've already talked about that. Accumulation is not the goal, nor is living on the edge. I don't think anybody likes living on the edge of disaster. Nobody likes being up on the edge, tipping over. But some people have to live that way because they don't make enough at that particular time. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Giving on the first day of the week. 2 Corinthians talk about purposes in their hearts. Giving on the first day of the week is not whatever's in your heart. As a Christian, it should be a well thought out plan as to what I need to do. I'm not going to tell you it needs to be 10%. I'm not going to tell you it needs to be 20%. That's you. But we do have examples. The widow's mite, we have those examples. And so we do realize that contribution is an important sacrifice to God. We have those considerations. So those things we need to think about. This is one thing a lot of people don't do. To have to do, and this kind of goes with impulse shopping sometimes, counting the costs. When you get ready to buy something or do something or invest in something, did you really think it all the way through? You wanted to buy it. Of course, now this counting the costs is talk about the cost of discipleship. But there still is a principle there that we should think things out and count the cost before we make a decision on certain things. Does that make sense? All right. Another thing is seeing others better. And I look at this from a man's standpoint. I would do without before I was my children and my wife would do without. Okay. That's not always the best thing, but I'd rather be last than be first. So, esteeming others. Also, when you start looking at people that they're dating, you think they're lower than you, or they're not as good as you, that could be a problem. When you start looking at people that you think, that's where I want to be, that could be a problem. All right, remember this, we can't take it with us. No matter what happens, whatever you accumulate, it's going to be no good for you. And so, we brought nothing into this world, and we can't take anything out. And then, in terms of marriage, when you marry, one of the vows you make is rich or poor. How many of you want to break a vow to God? I don't think anybody, when they say those vows, intends on breaking those things. But those are the very things sometimes that cost people their marriage. Despite all that. You make a vow, but when things get bad, sometimes what you say, that's the reason I like what Matthew 5:37 says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Don't, if you don't say it, you don't have to take it back. You ever heard that? If you don't say it, you don't have to take it back. So, understand that. Any comments or any verses that you can think of? Okay, it's going to be a really boring class, guys, if y'all don't help me.
I think the parable of the talents applies in principle.
It does.
What we're talking about here. We're accountable to be responsible to be stewards of the things that we have. And that principle is here, Jesus said, I think it's verse 29. That's happening. He said, those who are not responsible, what they do have will be taken away. So we have a responsibility to be stewards that we need to keep everything in proper perspective that needs to be. And that's on both of us and everyone. That's right. Because if one has it and the other doesn't, there's always going to be a problem if the perspective is not the same, the goals are not the same. So we have to maintain a mutual responsibility along with the mutual relationship and mutual, it's very important.
Being a Christian is so important when you're married because it should put you at least on 99.9% of the same directives as what you do. I'm not going to say everybody's going to be exactly like that. As I said in the class before, every marriage is unique. You can't always color the same marriage with the same colors as Christians. There should be some true blue things, but the truth of the matter is we all have different things. My wife has talents in areas that I don't, and so we have to do the best with what we have. I hate to make a football analogy, but I love Logan, and he played football for me. And no matter how much he wanted to play running back, he probably wasn't going to play running back, and neither was I when I was playing. So we use our talents wherever we fit, and we try to learn as we go along. All right. Before you say I do, here's things that you maybe should consider. Are you about to marry someone with a strong work ethic? As a football coach for a long time, I had a list of things that that I wanted to make sure, before we ever won a football game, there were things that I wanted to make sure that I taught the kids that had more to do with whether or not I could catch a ball, score a touchdown, block anybody. It was to develop a strong ethic, because the bottom line is football for me is an educational process that should help you later on. If I didn't teach my kids a work ethic, I would fail myself, consider myself a failure. Even if we went 11-0, if they, it's kind of like your children. No matter what you do, if they turn out to be not very good or something, you feel responsible. And so I feel responsible for that. But having a strong work ethic, if you're with somebody that doesn't, that you're considering marriage and that person doesn't seem to have a work ethic, that's probably not a pretty good trait to have. And can you trust anybody that doesn't have a work ethic? Somebody's going to get up every day and go to work. There are people that get up every day even when they're sick and they still go to work. Do they not? Because they know that's what you got to do in order to meet the needs of their family. Are you prepared to leave your father's house? In other words, are you ready to leave the established lifestyle of your parents? Now, some people, and this is a problem, folks, but if your wife or your husband is used to a certain lifestyle and then you get married, it should not be the same, should it? Your parents worked 20 or 30 years, they've established that lifestyle, and you know, you and your spouse may be better off financially than your parents. I don't know which way, but sometimes somebody, when they leave the house and they go somewhere else and they go, you know, I was better off. How was that? Are you really ready to leave and go to a different lifestyle and leave that? Or are you going to be dependent? Are you always going to be running back to your parents in order to get paid? So these are things you have to think about. Are you prepared to live on a budget? We're going to talk about budget here in a minute. Budget is really simple. It's simply a plan for success when it comes to finances. There are all kinds of forms, all kinds of people that tell you about how to do that. But, you know, if you live willy-nilly, you know, chances are you're going to fall on your face. And so make sure you have a plan. And at least if you do this ahead of time, it sure will help a lot harder. When Don and I got married, I had gotten a job teaching, coaching 3 sports. She was working as a waitress. She wasn't making a lot of money. We were so afraid of failing financially, whatever we ate, whatever was left over, if it was that much corn, there was a new thing called Silla Mill. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Where you put the milk, God would put the stuff and put it in the fridge, because that's what we was eating next time. We weren't going to, you know, for her, we were going to make sure that we could get by. And so living on a budget is very important in developing those types of habits. Are you comfortable with the amount of money you and your future spouse make before starting your marriage? I think I told y'all last week about the 18-year-old married a 16-year-old. They one had a job. They got off a charge card. They went out immediately and charged about $10,000 buying dogs, dog houses, guns. You know, but they didn't have a job. There was no preparation. There are a lot of people that do that. They think, they're thinking with their heart and not thinking with their head. So make sure that you, before you get started, that you have things covered. Also, do you think you should wait until you have it? Sometimes you just got to realize if not so, how will you know enough is nothing? Remember this: patience is I'm looking for a word here, a virtue. You can always wait, and if you love each other, it'll all be fine, and it may be better down the road. But it is a virtue. Sometimes we're so used to having things as a touch. You know, you think, how many of y'all get frustrated with your cell phones because it doesn't work? How many of y'all get frustrated in the drive-through lines because you have to wait? Okay, we're a snappy finger, you know, and it's there. And sometimes that carries over to other lifestyles. Anything else? Anyone else got some wisdom that falls in here?
They work at a really strong point. You think about Jesus, go back to Jesus, what he was going to what kind of work ethic did he have? And his work ethic made it possible for him to fulfill the law. In the same way, it doesn't matter what subject we're talking about. If husbands and wives have a strong work ethic, marriage takes work. And all of us have been married, we have to realize it takes a lot of work on both parties. And if we don't have a strong work ethic in regards to other things, you don't have a strong work ethic in regard to your job, in regard to recreation, nothing's going to be successful. So that's a powerful point to consider, before you get married.
You know, you just look at Jesus' ministry. That's work. You think about what he was doing, and not caring about where the next meal came from. That's what fun. Let me say this. This is for young folks. Y'all heard the expression "working poor"? They actually actually considered a social class. They call it the working poor. I was part of the working poor when I first got married. Most of you are, when you first get married or and you're young, you are part of the working poor. You don't have a lot of things other people. But it's called, if you keep working, you will work your way out of that place. Does that make sense? I don't think anybody starts off their marriage that doesn't start off where you're maybe living hand to mouth for a while. That you find yourself scrimping, you know, and cutting shortcomings, certain things to try to get it taking shortcuts to try to get through. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen to you, but if you continue working, you work your way out. My first job was $8,100 a year, teaching all year, coaching 3 sports. And when we got a raise, we went to 10,000. I thought I was rich. I'll be honest. I thought, wow, I moved up from 8,000 to 10,000. That's a whole digit more. All right. Number one marriage killer is debt. This is not me speaking per se, but if you understand dynamics, debt is what a lot of people get themselves into. When they start paying those interest rates, charge cards are killers. I think y'all know that as much as you know that, and y'all are a different society. We have just, you know, I think the United States is working towards a cashless society. I'm having trouble with that. I don't like having to use a card for everything. We're learning that it's a lot more convenient, and that convenience sometimes can be addictive. It's just easy to swipe it. You didn't see it come out of your bill phone and go that person. It was a swipe, and you kind of forget what the amount is. But debt is the number one thing. Causes is one is you can't afford it. Bottom line is, folks, sometimes you just can't afford stuff. You can't buy it. You know, my rule is I can't afford it, I'm not going to buy it. And some people go, well, I can't afford it, but you know, if I do this or do that. And I'm not getting on people that sell houses and do realty and stuff. But if there's a formula that will tell you how much of a house that you can afford. Some of y'all may have gone on these sites. When you've all done it, there's a house. If you want to, you put in how much you make, it will tell you what your payment can be. Heard of you ever run and see one of those? Because you got that look. It'll tell you how much, and it'll be like 30-something%. I wouldn't let you may be able to afford it, but if anything goes wrong, you're in trouble. You know, there's nothing wrong with keeping a little leeway between what somebody tells you. You got to be careful. It's kind of like, have you ever noticed that when you go into Lowe's or any stores like that, do they put the worst looking stuff at the beginning of the aisle, or they put the best looking stuff? They put the best stuff in the most expensive stuff as far as. So if you're looking for a push bottle board, you come up this one, you know, it cuts itself. It's got a robot in there. It's, you know, it'll give you water while you're sitting watching it, and it's $4 million. And you come on down here, and this one's not quite that good. And then you get the one you want to buy. You know, it's $99, and you look at it and you go, "Whoa, I want to buy that." So understand that sometimes you just can't afford it. There's nothing wrong with that. Lack of work, sometimes people lose jobs, and we'll talk about that you can prepare for some of these things. Impatience, we talked about that. Credit cards. My mother, before I knew anything about finances, my mother went into debt. When we talk about this, about children, because of Christmas. Her heart was bigger than her common sense. She would spend more during Christmas time on her 3 boys than she didn't have. And she would go into debt, and deeper into debt. Well, this charge company, you can pay $20 every month, and they okay with it. In the meantime, the debt did what? Got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the rates they charge you for that. So it's, you know, get out of debt, stay out of debt. That's, you know, it's wasted resources. Lack of communication. We'll be talking about that in a minute. Mismanagement, no plan. Living outside your means, which goes with the budget. Sometimes there are catastrophes, medical, that come up. something may happen to your job. There are situations that are catastrophic, that destroy you financially and really hard. I know y'all realize that Jason has told me several times about when Ashley was having her difficulty with the birth of Randy Kate, and it was $27,000 just for the helicopter. Okay, so there are things that can happen to you that are outside of your control. Okay, and maybe as you get older, you can prepare for those things. And some things you can't prepare for. That's what good insurance is for. And sometimes that's not helpful. Yeah. When Donna first started being treated for cancer, first thing they did before they ever started treatment was they took her to a woman who was the finances person who sits down and tells you whether or not you know where you're at. And one thing I remember that gave me a lot of comfort, she says, if I was going to have insurance, I would have yours. And when we were teachers, we didn't get paid a lot for a long time. Our salaries for our benefits were good. So in one way, that was good for us. There's a whole bunch of things: gambling, addictions, poor investments. There's a lot of things that can kill you. But stay out of debt. It's really easy. It's really easy to do from a sense of just if you don't need it, don't buy it. It's a lot easier to not spend than it is to make money. Did y'all know that? It's easier to just say no than it is to say yes and then try to do something about it. Are issues that rear their ugly head. Number one, materialism. Keeping up with the Joneses. I gotta have stuff. The green-eyed monster that comes along with that. Pride. Keeping appearances. I love this. I have a piece of paper and I can control your entire life. Do you realize why is that worth anything? Why is that dollar bill worth anything? Well, somebody said it was. Does that paper have any value? No. The truth of the matter is money only has value because you associate it with value. It's not really true value. You know, I go and buy the cheapest tennis shoes that I can get because I know I'm not going to take care of them. I'm going to wear them out. And so I look for the $29.99 specials that will look good enough to satisfy my family who's like somewhat fashion conscious. And the reason is I believe those shoes will do exactly the same thing that your shoes will do. They go forward, sideways, backward, might have to tie them, may not. They do exactly the same thing. You know, it's kind of like a car. You can buy a car for 50, 60, 70,000, but you can also buy one that's pretty good for $20,000 that will do exactly the same thing as the other. And that's my homespun sense of things. I'm not sure that that's what you need to do. But understand that some people have a sense of entitlement, and this is a problem in marriage. If somebody is the breadwinner, what does that mean if you're the breadwinner? What's the definition of that? Robert, you're the sole provider, or you may be the one who makes the most. In fact, sometimes it gives you a sense of entitlement because I make more because it's my money, and that's the wrong thing to think. That can cause problems. Can y'all see that? Because suddenly you disassociate yourself with your mate and you have put yourself in a different category. And so we have to be very careful about not letting that become anything that divide us from our spouse on that. Power struggle over control. Whose money is it anyway? And that's one of your questions. Whose money is this? Is it yours, hers, or ours? Okay, it's ours, isn't it? Really, whose money is it? It's God's money. God gave you the ability to do what you do. Gave you the talent. He put you on this earth. It's His money. It ought to be spent in a way that pleases Him, not in a way that pleases you. If you always start with those types of priorities, then you'll be good. It's a team effort. It needs to be a we mentality. It's not me, it's not I. We need to look at it that particular way. Children are a problem. We've got a lot of younger folks, and y'all realize y'all are a problem for parents. Any of y'all ever given that look? I got 5 grandkids, and it's always I want my youngest brother, I can still remember it echoing in my head. We would go to the store, grocery store, and he would go, "But Mama, I need that. I need to get that." It was always, he needed that. But he really didn't need it. It's just something that he wanted. So, and then any of y'all ever had your kids come up and say, "Well, so-and-so's parents, they did this." For parents that's got younger kids, any of y'all have the birthday one-uppance thing going on? Y'all know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? We had this where somebody had a birthday party, and so when somebody else's kid had a chance to have a birthday, it was their birthday, they had a party. And it had to be a little bigger and a little better than the other. Y'all did, you get caught up in that stuff. To the end, we said we quit going to them when somebody rented a hotel room, an expensive place for their kids to go and have their birthday party. We said, you know what, this is nuts. If somebody wants to have more balloons than somebody else, that's one thing. If we start looking for that. So you could put, parents are competitive. They want their kids to be, normal. And we have to be careful that we can't get into that area there. Family can be helped. One is, sometimes family can help you when you don't want help. And they can interfere with your business sometimes by doing that. Somebody says, "I wish somebody would interfere." This is right. Or sometimes they can drain you. Okay? Yeah, again, those are situations that have come up. Doesn't mean if your parents come and ask you for money, doesn't mean that's wrong. You have responsibility, and you still honor your parents. Okay? But still, there can be situations where your cousins and everybody else can find out if you have any kind of financial stability. Sometimes you come together as a person, and that can end up causing problems with you and your spouse. Overworking. Do you have work ethic? But some people spend a lot of time at their office so they make a little more. They become workaholic, it becomes a priority, and that is all trying to achieve money. Overspending or overly thrifty. I had an uncle, he lived during the Depression. If you went to his house for lunch, when the napkins came out, he would take one, open it up, and split it 4 ways. You all got one. He said that was a waste. He grew up during the Depression. He wouldn't use, they probably didn't have napkins. They probably, that got a corn cob or something. I don't know what they did. But the bottom line is, you can be overly thrifty in some ways to the point that you can be needy to put your folks in situations there. And then the stress that comes from handling funds by one or both the spouses. Any questions or comments there? I kind of rushed a little bit to make sure we get through. All right. Responsibility grows together with God. Whose money is it we just covered? Who has the final say in a dispute over money? You're sitting down. First of all, you need to talk about it. If you're, finances and problems are a lot because people just don't communicate with each other. They don't talk about it. If you went out and spent $200 and there was only $100 in account, you failed to tell your husband or your wife that you did that, and they go out and buy $200, you got a problem, don't you? You got a bounce check. So if you're discussing whether you're going to buy a house, buy a car, I know marriages where the guy goes out and buys a car and bought a house, and his wife was never in the mix. Guys, that's not a good idea. The idea of ruling over your house is not about being a dictator and taking over those types of things. That's not what it's about. Good kings rule wisely. It'd be stupid if I can't add 2 and 2 and come up with 4. It'd be stupid for me to keep up with the finances. My wife can do that. She already can do that. She is a helpmeet, suitable for my needs. Therefore, if it's suitable that she handles the finances and she's better at it, she can, when I was working and coaching 80, 90 hours a week during the football season, you think I had time to sit down and do the checkbook? No. So, understand that in the dispute, ultimately the man is the head of the family. And I think that in the dispute he has, and I hate to use the word win, but eventually his judgment has to be submitted to, because that's what the Bible teaches. Okay, but that doesn't mean you can't, give your 2 cents, ladies. Doesn't mean that you can't, try to persuade him, yes.
And the wise man's judgment might best be to let the wise man. There are situations, there are couples where the man just has no concept for good financial sense. I would want him making decisions.
His wisdom allows him to delegate authority.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, if I'm the king, it doesn't mean that I have to put on my armor and lead every battle when I'm 75 years old. Probably not going to be a good idea. So you use your good common sense that God gave you. But when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the final discussion, somebody's going to have the final say. And we should let that also, if I don't get my way, that's a problem. We have to be careful about that. Who checks the accounts, manages the money? I don't. God does that. I do certain things. I do the taxes. I do certain things. I keep up with it, but I don't keep up with every nickel and dime and penny. Ladies should know when you have spent money, issues of dual accounts. Should you have two accounts? Maybe in some business situations. But the truth of the matter is, remember, the house divided. It's not a good idea to have, because who knows what's going out, and how do you know that? Especially if you're living close to the edge on certain things, it makes no sense to do that. And so, I do know a situation where a woman's husband was gambling, and he was out of control. There were people knocking on their doors and stuff, and she took her money and she had to protect herself. I know there may become a situation that comes up, but generally speaking, as a rule, having separate accounts, there's not much transparency there. When it comes to managing, it's a lot of work balancing it, moving accounts when they need to be moved, adding or removing funds, checks, taxes. Trust is essential. And that's the reason this needs to be talked about. I say the happiest people when it comes to marriages talk to each other at least once a month or so and just talk about finances and where they're at, where they're going, and that sort of thing. And I'm not saying you have to necessarily do that. That was a general rule that some people have. Our godly plan, set goals. When you're sitting down talking, short-range goals and long-range goals. What are the things, where are you going? How many of y'all decide you're going to go, I know Lacey's going on a lot of trips out of the country and stuff. I doubt seriously that she just says, I'm going to head over to Europe, and when I get there, I'll figure it out. No. You sit down. If you're going somewhere, you would GPS it or do something, know where you're going to go. Same difference there. Paying out priorities. What's going to be the order in which you pay things? It's going to be God should be first. Myself should be second. Mandatory should be third. And recreational should be fourth. That's a general rule. Now, if y'all don't understand those, I'll go in a minute. If you got a budget, stick to it. Focus on reality and not the world. If you are busy looking here, it's kind of like driving. If you're looking at the scenery, you're probably going to wreck. So focus on what your job is, what your responsibility is. Define the roles of who's doing what. Communications, be transparent, pray about it. Budget. First thing you do as a Christian is you not pay God. That needs to be worked in. Should he get the leftovers? No. It's not a Christian principle. Pay yourself. What do I mean by that? Savings. Okay. Emergency funds, retirement, recreational, pay your bills, don't create unnecessary debt, get out of debt, stay out of debt. As a Christian, be aware and look for opportunities to help others. I think that's part of good finances when you can share with other people. Just because there is money left over the budget does not mean that you have to spend it. It's kind of like if I drink a Diet Coke, it doesn't entitle me to eating a double cheese Big Mac, okay? That's the way it works, right? So, anyway, thank you for the class.